welcome to this week's live. Um, Got some cool stuff on the docket for you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Seth Heller. I've been a martial artist for over 20 years and teaching, coaching martial arts for over a decade now. I recently last year moved from New Jersey down to the Orlando, Florida area to start my own martial arts business and programs. And the goal with that is to expand those programs globally throughout my life and share the lessons that I've learned through martial arts with as many people as possible. This live series is my way of documenting the progress that I'm making along the journey, growing the business into, like I said, something that one day I want to share with the world. So let me pull this up over here so that I can monitor everything on this screen. And then we should be good to go. So what we're going to talk about today, I've been talking a lot about business, obviously, and growing the business and moving forward with everything. I'm going to give you an update on the YMCA, on the Be Your Own Bodyguard program, and me potentially working on teaching some of those. The online resources I've been talking about, some of the challenges and stuff that I've been sharing, we're going to work on, or we're going to talk about that a little bit. Some content stuff, I actually nailed down a little bit of the content funnel that I've kind of been using, and I've formalized it a little bit. We're going to talk about some IG lives and TikTok lives and that kind of stuff and how that's been working for me. And then towards the end, I'll give a quick update on my shoulder. For those who don't know, a little bit over 7 weeks ago, I had a labor and repair surgery on my right shoulder, so I've been recovering from that. So we'll talk about that too. So make sure if you are watching the live, if you're joining me live, put in the chat live so that I know you're here. If you're watching the recording, comment recording, let me know that you watched it back. And then, of course, drop me a like. Drop me a like, that is always appreciated. So first things first here, we're going to talk a little bit about business. So what I've been pondering and thinking about the last couple of weeks a lot has been how I'm keeping my focus long term in terms of the goals and the results that I want to achieve, but also accommodating the short-term goals that I do have, or the short-term needs that I have, specifically with money, right? Everyone needs money to live, and for the last 6 or 7 months, I've pretty much been living off of savings and the little bit of income that I've made so far through the business, from working with the prep school that I've been working with, and other like private lessons and little stuff that I've been doing here and there. So that's pretty much what I've been living off of, and that's only going to be sustainable for so long until the business, until the business continues to grow, and then I can feed off of that a little bit, literally feed off of that. So I was thinking a couple weeks ago about how, again, I can keep my goals and my focus long term. Let me just adjust this real quick. I can keep my focus on the long-term goals and the long-term play of the business, but in the meantime, accommodate the short-term needs that I have. And what I pretty much came up with is, for you guys that don't know, I've been working on building a program with a local YMCA, and we're getting close to that one, but even so, it's not going to give me the income as if I were running like a full schedule of classes. So that's more of a long-term play in terms of establishing my brand in the community and building out a base of clients and leads that could potentially follow me when I open up my own school. And I've talked with the Y about that, so we're gonna work stuff out there. And then working with private schools, the prep school that I've been working with, and others that I've been reaching out to, that's another avenue of building my brand and building a client base in this area. But in the short term, I need some things that are going to generate some revenue and some income. So what I decided is a couple months ago, I got certified to teach the Spear Systems Be Your Own Bodyguard program. And if you don't know, the Spear System is the self-defense system that I teach, that I've been learning since I was a little kid and been teaching for over 10 years now, as I've taught martial arts as well. And I got certified to teach this one-day program that teaches self-defense like first aid. It makes people safer in a day. And what I figured out was I had one scheduled. You guys know this. I had one scheduled for back in December, but that fell through. We didn't have anyone registered for it, and it ended up just being a really bad time. So I kind of put that on the back burner for a little bit until like a couple weeks ago. I realized that could generate enough income for me that I could potentially live on it, or um, it supplements what I'm doing with the prep school and the private classes and all that little stuff, to the point where that's it could be like one day a month probably at most, um, and it would allow me to stress less about money and also free up a bunch more time that I'd be focusing on trying to make that money, whereas I could just um, focus on the business and growing it, increasing my skill set, and being the best coach and business person that I can be. So I've been really, really going hard on getting BYOBs set up so that I can have that on the back burner. I can do those. To generate income is really the primary thing, but the secondary thing here is I'm doing them in the area, or I plan to do them generally in the area where I'm going to be operating. And that it's not going to directly give me students. It may be a couple here and there, possibly. It's not going to necessarily directly give me students, but it's going to continue to build my brand awareness with the businesses in the area, with the people in the area. They may have kids that want to come work with me. So it's still just building up my brand and my reputation and building my network. So it's really twofold, and it's helping me short term with the income, but even more, it's helping me long term building up my brand. So that was something I thought was a really good route to go, especially as I'm building this program with the Y and building up the student body there, and then continuing to work with the prep school and trying to work with some other private schools too. On that note, like I said, I've spent the last about 2 weeks really going hard on that, and here's what I've done. So I reached out to a bunch of gyms and facilities like that, exercise fitness facilities. I reached out to a bunch of those, some that I've reached out to before, some that I haven't, and offered the BYOB program. I heard back from one or two, but didn't really get any traction. So not this past Tuesday, but last Tuesday, I went out, I drove around the city, and I visited, I think it was like 7 or so of these facilities. I got to talk to a couple of them, practice my pitch a little bit, and just meet them, introduce myself and see their facility and stuff. And a couple of them, like 2 or 3, I got to do that with. And one of them was a really good prospect. That one ended up falling through. The other one I haven't heard back from yet. They seemed interested, so I need to follow up there. But I was going around, and I'm trying to tap into these different communities that these facilities have to populate the BYOB classes. Because the way that it works is Blower Tactical Systems, the company that owns the Spear System and the brand and BYOB, they provide a little bit of marketing support to their list and their contacts in the area. And then generally it's going to be on me to populate the classes. So what I'm trying to do is find places that have the facility that we can use that space, and have a community that is interested in the class that would attend it. And I'm looking at trying to get at least 10 for each of these classes. I would do it with less, but getting at least 10 would really be optimal. Closer to 20 or 30 would be best, would be even better than that, even better than optimal. But what I'm looking at is tapping into their communities to mainly populate the classes, and then my network will fill in some of the gaps here and there, along with some of the work that Blower Tactical will do. So I'm trying to tap into those communities and different ones in the area. So if I'm working with a facility, I would expect that they would provide, between 5 and 10 members likely to populate the class. Then a couple come from my network personally, and a couple come from Blower Tactical Systems. And that's essentially what I'm trying to do, is put these BYOB programs in a couple different places across the area to tap into all these different communities and groups of people. But what I quickly realized is that the amount of reach outs that I need to do to get even 1 or 2 responses is a lot more than I expected, which every time I go through something like this, something takes more work than I originally anticipated. I'm reminded about how much work it takes to be successful with these things. And it's not a problem. It's not something I'm concerned about or that really bothers me at all. It's just funny that I almost forget to an extent. And then it comes back to me at some point. So that being said, I have 2 opportunities that are open right now. One of them is actually a yoga studio that's around the corner from where I live. It actually is in the apartment complex that I live in. So I went over there with a flyer, and they are promoting the event a little bit. We don't have a date locked in, but they are trying to gauge some interest from the community, see who is available on the days we want to do it, and see who is willing to pay for the program. And then I have a gym or a dance facility that's a little bit far. I think it's about 30, maybe 40 minutes from where I am. And they were very interested, and right now they're more interested in doing a private event for just the parents of the kids that go to the dance studio. So we're looking at setting that up and how all that would work. So I have a couple good prospects. The yoga studio one would be beginning or middle of March, and the one with the dance facility would be probably beginning or middle of April, probably middle of April or so. So if I can get one set up per month, that would be awesome. That would be really, really cool. And I would really like to continue that, and it's just going to take a lot of work to get there. But I also know that the work is going to compound, right? So I do a ton of work on the front end to connect with these facilities and get them set up. We could have recurring events with these facilities. I could do one a quarter with the dance studio, or one a quarter with the yoga studio, and then those are just recurring essentially. And then I also get content and social proof. I can get testimonials from these courses that I do that can help me to book other ones with different facilities and different communities. So it's a lot of work up front. It's going to be a lot of work over the next couple of weeks and couple of months to get these ones set up and get the ball rolling. But again, once I get the ball rolling, then I can build the momentum and keep going from there, just like everything has gone so far since I started this business last year. So it takes, I got to get my foot in the door. I've been saying this the entire time since I started the business. Once I get my foot in the door, I know I can produce the results, and it's going to build the momentum. But that first step, getting that foot in the door, is the hardest part. And that's what I'm working on now. So that's a huge focus for me right now, is getting those locked in so that I can have that consistent stream of income to ease off some of the stress on my shoulders, as well as to continue to increase my, the brand awareness and what I do in the area. Update on the YMCA now. That's the next thing here. Not really a whole lot since last week, to be honest. I'm supposed to actually talk to the wellness director this afternoon, not too long ago, and I should be receiving the paperwork from HR by end of day Monday. She talked to them today, and there were a couple things that they had to work out, but I should be getting the paperwork by end of day Monday. So I'll read over that. We'll see what happens, and hopefully next week I'll have an update for you guys that we are starting to build out the program. So we'll see what happens, but quick update there on the Y. Nothing really crazy going on. And the last thing here is the online resources that I've been talking about. So not next week technically, but the following week or next Sunday, I'm going to be launching something that I'm calling the Confident Kid Challenge. And the Confident Kid Challenge is just something that I've put together. It's a 7-day exercise for parents and for kids to do to actually build some confidence. Now, confidence is not built in 7 days, of course, but the goal is to help those parents and kids build some habits that, done over time, will lead to better confidence, will help kids build skills, will help parents reflect on how they are modeling their own behavior, and they are helping to boost their child's self-esteem and build that confidence over time. So originally I had talked about it on one of these lives. The concept was to do a 4-week program, a 4-week paid program where I would actually be helping them with some live calls and things of that nature. And then I decided to pivot that into free challenges that I would just be putting out on my social media. So what I've done with this one is I have the challenge all written out. It's all pretty much done. The document is done that I'm going to send out. I have to create a little form for people to sign up for it. But I've also outlined a ton of content that I'm going to be putting out next week for this challenge. And the way that I'm doing it is I'm breaking it down into a few different posts that are warming up the audience and providing value, talking a little bit about the challenge. And then next Sunday, I'm going to be officially announcing and launching the challenge for anyone to start on the following Monday. So I'm really excited about this because I've put a lot of effort and time into this content. I have it all outlined, and I just need to record it and edit it, and then I'm going to start posting it on Monday. The content that I want to put out to warm up for this. So the way it's going to work is I have a definition, simple definition that parents can use with their kids at home of confidence. That's going to be a post that I'm going to put out on Monday. The second piece is going to be a daily challenge in the exercise in the 7 days. I'm going to talk about that on Tuesday. Thursday, I'm going to have a post just educating a little bit about confidence and how it's really built, especially for kids. On Friday, I'm going to talk a little bit about the parent reflection portion of the challenge. So I'm going to have a video out about that. And then Sunday, I'm going to have 2 posts. One is going to be a reel announcing the challenge and what all is involved and how to sign up. And then Sunday night, there's going to be a carousel post about it, just again outlining the challenge and what to expect. So this is all, my main platform is Instagram, and that's where I'm posting most of my content. That's where really all this is going to be housed. But you'll see the content across different social platforms. That's just the one that I have seen the most conversion from. And just from the research I did before I started really going heavy into content, that's the one that I figured would be best for what I'm trying to do and use it for. So I'm focusing on IG and how that's going to work. The goal here of this concept, number one, is just to help people. Like I need to help people and provide value for them to want to come train and work with me. And on the flip side, if they do want to come train and work for me, then I can start to push them towards the YMCA and drive traffic in there. And then if the Y sees that I'm able to recruit people on my own through my social profiles and that type of work, then they're going to see me as more valuable. They're going to be more inclined to give me more classes, put more investment, time, attention, money into promoting my programs, and everything is going to grow from there. So it's a strategic play. Again, more of a long-term play. I'm going to have this one. We'll run the Confident Kid Challenge. I'll keep that the focus for probably about a month or so. And then I'll switch over to another one, and I'll have a couple different topics that I'll rotate through monthly with the same kind of content strategy. So we'll do a couple of them. We'll see how it works. We'll see if I get anyone on the challenge. Honestly, I'm not expecting to, but if I get 1 or 2 people, then I can get them, see results from them or get them to participate, get a little bit of feedback. I can make it better. We'll see what happens. So I've been spending a little bit of time on that too, and it's something that I'm trying to use to drive traffic towards my classes. Those are pretty much the business updates, but I do want to talk a little bit about content as well. I mentioned how I have kind of created a funnel of how I work to not produce, but like create the content that I do and put it out. I've been pretty consistent over the last year or so. It's actually been almost 2 years, I think. I've posted something pretty much every day on Instagram and pretty much all the other platforms that I'm on. And for the last, I want to say since September or October, I've been posting on average almost 2 times a day. So for the most part, most days have 2 posts. Some days will only have 1, but most days there will be 2 posts up. And I've been doing that pretty consistently, and I've been trying to figure out ways to continue doing that. I talked about how on Instagram I'm trying to shift the brand a little bit from, adult MMA coach to child development expert. And what I've been doing for that is to post more about me talking about working with kids and the things that kids need and benefits and that kind of stuff. So I created a funnel and a kind of a way that I tend to figure out the content that performs the best and then make sure I'm posting that consistently. So what I've been doing is I'll make a ton of videos for TikTok. On TikTok, I'll go for my walks in the morning and I'll just record 5 to 10 TikToks right there and post a bunch. So I've been posting close to 5 times, if not more, a day on TikTok, and then I've been doing a lot of video replies and stuff too. So I'll post a bunch of those, and then the ones that perform the best in terms of views and engagement, I will post on Instagram. I'll just download it and post it on Instagram. And those ones that do the best, those topics that do the best, I will turn into carousel posts. So I'll turn into just I'll have a couple of slides that basically say the same thing as the video, maybe in a slightly different way, just in a different way for people to consume. So that's how I've been approaching that type of content, and that gives me a good 5 to 8 posts a week, 5 to 8 posts a week or so. And what I actually did the other day was I laid out for myself a little content calendar. So I have experience working with content calendars in the past, but for me, like batching content, recording the content in a way that's batched has been fine for me. But when I like write copy, when I write the captions, if I try to batch that, I tend to have a lot of trouble. Like I tend to lose focus and not know what to say, and I end up just sitting there not writing much or not writing anything at all. So it works better for me when I'm actually physically making the post, that I write the caption and write the copy then. It might not be as good as if I spent a little bit more time on it and had some dedicated time each week to write out copy for the rest of the week. But I find that it's more enjoyable for me, and I feel like it's a more effective use of my time, because I don't think the copy is really what's stopping my content from growing. My content has been growing pretty consistently, so I'm okay with that, the growth that it's seeing and where that's at. But that being said, I've worked with content calendars in the past, and I don't typically love them. But the way that I set up this one is it's pretty flexible. It just kind of has a general topic. So each of my posts for the day have a general topic, and then I have this many of martial arts lessons that I'm going to post every week. So clips from the private lessons I do. I'm going to post this many education reels. So the ones from TikTok that I bring over and post on Instagram. I have a couple of carousel posts that I'll plan out for the week. So it's not like I am, on Sundays planning out all of my content for the rest of the week and scheduling it or anything. It's just, here's the general topic, and then, throughout the week as I capture stuff, record videos or chop up the long, private lessons that I record, then I have that stuff on the back burner. I know when I'm going to post a specific topic. I pick whichever of the videos I have ready for that topic. I write the copy and I post it. So it's a loose calendar. It's almost like an outline of the week or of the month, how I'm going to work it. But that I'm going to try. I just did that. It was yesterday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday that I put together that little content calendar. So just to help keep me organized, make sure that I'm consistently posting what I want to post in the amounts that I want to post it. Like I said before, I've been working to transition the brand from just adult MMA coach to child development expert. So in order to do that, I have to make sure I'm not posting as much of the lessons and the clips from private classes and more of the education content, which means I need to be posting or creating more of that for TikTok, putting them out, seeing what performs, yada, 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 going through the funnel. But what I also want to talk about in terms of content are lives. So I crossed 1,000 followers on IG a couple weeks ago, which means I was able to start going live. And I've done 2 lives so far, this past Monday and the Monday before around noon. And that's what I'm planning on going live there each week. And what I want to do for that is have a place where my followers, specifically parents of kids that might potentially work with me, can hear me talk a little bit about my thoughts on martial arts for kids, my thoughts on child development, what kids need at different ages and different phases of their growth and development, self-defense tips for kids, how traditional martial arts get things wrong when it comes to working with kids. So I'm gonna use that as an opportunity, just 20-30 minutes each week, to get in front of the audience and talk to parents and potentially answer any questions. I want to build some culture there. I want to build some community there. And it's just another way that I can use the platforms that are at my disposal in a different way and give myself the opportunity to connect with more people. So far, they have not gone as I would have liked them to. Not a whole lot of viewers, really only a couple for each of the lives. But I'm going to keep at it. Just like I've been doing here on YouTube. I don't get many views. Obviously, YouTube, I've said, is a different purpose. I'm documenting my journey, so the point isn't necessarily to grow the brand. But on IG, my goal is to build my brand and convert people into students once I have that program fully fleshed out. So I am focusing a little bit more on results there. I was talking a little bit with ChatGPT about how I can optimize my, not necessarily optimize, but just improve what I'm doing on the IG lives. So I will be doing, making some adjustments over time as I get better and as I learn and do things a little bit differently. So I did actually get a lot of clips though. I got a lot of good quality clips from the IG live I did on Monday, so I was able to chop that up. I actually have to finish chopping it up still. I have a couple more clips that I have to go through there. But I've gotten a bunch so far that I've been posting on TikTok throughout the week, and then one or two I've posted on IG already. So that's going to be another source that I can chop up and post on TikTok and see what does well, bring that over to Instagram, and just another piece, something else to drop into the funnel. So either way, I'm going to be able to get some content out of it, and it should be beneficial. It should be beneficial. However, TikTok live, I've been trying to do those 3 times a week. I want to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then maybe a weekend live on TikTok, but it's really been more like twice a week the last couple weeks. It was yesterday. I actually had the best live that I've ever had. Not in terms of viewership. My first live was actually the best in terms of viewership, but in terms of engagement. So I had a question up on the screen. It was just, have you ever been in a fight? And on TikTok, I talk a lot about self-defense. That's kind of my main thing on TikTok is self-defense for parents and for kids. And I had a ton of engagement. People were talking about if they were in a fight. I had a couple of parents in there talking a little bit about their experience and how they feel they want their kids to handle those situations. I also had a couple of kids or younger people that are in school talk to me about situations that they've been in. So that was really exciting. I actually didn't want to get off of that live. I wanted to keep going, but I had to jump off so that I could go over to the prep school and teach the class that I get paid to teach, which is going really well as well. But that was really exciting about TikTok. For TikTok, I'm not really worried about talking to parents necessarily. I'm really just trying to become more of a self-defense expert and use that as an avenue for practicing my craft, for working my craft when it comes to being a self-defense coach. I've actually taken a couple lives, taken that opportunity to practice some of the Be Your Own Bodyguard material so that I can continue to get reps in there and eventually deliver that program with the clarity and confidence that I want to once we get there, because I still haven't run one of them yet. But those are the updates in terms of content. Now the last thing here, just a quick update on my shoulder. I saw the doc on Monday for my 6-week checkup. It's Wednesday was 7 weeks post-op, and he's really, really happy with my progress. My range of motion is really good for where I am in the recovery process. He said I am ahead of schedule. He's not really worried or concerned about anything. I've had a lot of additional soreness and some pain over the last week or so, mainly because I've been out of the sling and doing more. I'm back hitting bags and training. I talked about that last week. I actually did a little bit of partner drilling today, which was super light and I'm not concerned about that at all. So that was fun, honestly. I was a little bit nervous and scared going into it, but it ended up going fine. It was with a couple people that I trust to work with. So I'm training a little bit. I'm running a little bit more. I'm slowly increasing the time that I'm running. Last week it was like 2 or 3 minutes. This week I did a couple 5-minute runs, and yesterday and today I did 6 minutes. So at the end of my walk in the morning. So that's been going really well. And in PT we are not strengthening quite yet, but we are doing a lot more, or in general we're doing active range of motion. So I have some at-home stuff, and then when I'm there at PT, we're doing some active range of motion, some lying down, and we're going to get into strengthening in a couple of weeks. But overall, shoulders progressing really, really well. A little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort, a lot of soreness. I need to ice it a little bit more than I have been. But in general, we're moving in the right direction there. So that makes me really happy because this was a really huge thing for me. I wasn't initially going to get the surgery because I didn't think I had time for it to be out like I was, but the timing ended up working out, and I couldn't afford to mess this up or have any setbacks. So I'm really happy with how it's progressing and how far I've come already. The things that I'm able to do, I mean, I'm moving around pretty much like a normal person. I'm not able to carry much weight in this arm, and I still can't, raise it above my head for very long or really do much overhead anything. But I'm progressing my way back into training and everyday stuff, and I probably couldn't have asked for it to go any better. So I'm really happy about that. But that's it for the live today. Nothing in the chat. Next week there's a Spear affiliate call on Sunday, on Super Bowl Sunday in the afternoon, way before the Super Bowl. So there might be some stuff that I want to talk about from there. I'm going to be going heavy into the BYOB reach outs. I'll probably go out again on Tuesday. I went out last Tuesday and this Tuesday to visit facilities. I'll probably go out again. Maybe I'll go out on Monday or Tuesday, go out and connect with some facilities. And then by the end of day on Monday, I should be hearing from the Y about, or with paperwork and stuff to go over there. So some cool stuff. Again, if you made it this far, thank you so much. If you are watching the live, which I don't think anyone is, but if you're watching the live, comment live so that I know you were here. If you're watching the recording, comment recording so that I know that you watched, and drop a like. Those are definitely very helpful and encourage me to continue doing these. But I appreciate you watching nonetheless, and have a great weekend. See you guys in the next one.